So let's talk about the money. I'll start by telling you about the student activity fee. All undergraduate day, full-time students at Widener pay the student activity fee as part of their tuition. Part of that funding goes to Student Government Association, and they allocate that money to undergraduate student groups for their programs and events during the year. In order for your group to get their piece of the student activity fee, they currently petition SGA twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring semester, to request a budget from SGA. Our office, however, is moving toward an annual process, so that means that your group can apply once a year, so probably at the end of the spring, beginning in 2011. They can ask SGA for a budget for their organization, for their programs and activities for the year. And this is to keep us up to date with best practices across the nation. So do note that these policies are subject to change, but you will receive information via email and also via announcements on the university webpage in case anything changes. Another way that you'll be updated on information is through SGA meetings. So it's really important that you send your students or your SGA rep for your group to those events and ask them to report back to your organization when they come back from the meeting. If your organization misses the budget allocation process or is not eligible to receive funds, they can always apply for a grant request from SGA. This paperwork is available at SGA meetings, so again, another reason to have your students attend. Or you can also stop by the Student Government Association office, which is on the lower level of University Center, right next door to Student Life, and they can give you the paperwork or have it emailed to you. So their email address is widenersga, all one word, at mail.widener.edu, and you can request a copy of the grant request form. And so that's really perfect for groups that don't do a significant amount of programming that requires money, but every now and then you might want to go to a conference. So there are conference grant requests and there are program grant requests, so you can request money for either. And so those are really great for groups that want to have programs but they're not really expensive, or you have a really great idea for a speaker you'd like to bring to campus but you can't afford to do it with the budget that you already have. So that's definitely an avenue that you want to make sure you're aware of. To request payment for an invoice or for other services that your organization has used, you need to do a payment request voucher. So if you need to pay for posters you've had made for an upcoming concert or a party, you would have to print out the actual invoice, so that information needs to say who the check needs to be made out to, their address. If it's a private person who works, you need to get either their EIN, their tax ID number, or their social security number and put that on the form also. All payment request vouchers from student organizations must be signed by the president or treasurer of the group, preferably the treasurer, and the advisor. And then that form and the invoice can be attached or stapled together and put in the form box outside SGA, and we will take care of making sure that the payment is processed. So what that does is helps us maintain records on your organization's cash flow, but also helps you make sure that you have copies of everything also. The university only does payment requests for things that we actually have an invoice for. So for example, you can't go down the street and buy something and not get a receipt and ask us to give you a payment request voucher or reimburse you, because we can't do that. Also, for reimbursements for undergraduate students, you fill out the same form as the payment request form. So you just fill out the student's name, and their university ID number would go where the social security number is, or you'd put it somewhere on the form to make sure they get paid back. If you as an advisor need to be reimbursed for something, you would fill out the employee reimbursement form. Your department should have a copy of this, but you can also contact the Office of Student Life and we can forward the form to you, or you can get a copy from accounts payable. So that information will be the same. You'd fill out your name, your ID number, which is found on your Widener ID card, and we would process it the same way. So you would sign it, and then you could forward it to the Office of Student or to Student Government Association, and it will get processed just like the undergraduate student groups payment request vouchers do. So the way Student Life goes through budget requests or payment requests is forms are due to the office, to the SGA office, by Thursday at 5 p.m. On Friday morning, the Office of Student Life gets together with SGA to go through all of the payment request vouchers. We approve every single one of them unless we have questions or concerns or there's information missing. And then we'll send it forward to Accounts Payable. Accounts Payable's deadline for everything that needs to be cut in a check for that week is 5 p.m. on Monday afternoon. So if you get everything in to us on time by Thursday before, everything should be taken care of you in time for when you need it the week after. We generally ask student groups to give us about 2 weeks to make sure that the check gets in on time, depending on what time of the year it is, especially first thing in the fall. Accounts payable tends to be a little bit busier, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer for checks to be requested. Also, if you have a contract, it's important for you to attach the payment request voucher with the contract and all of that information to be reviewed and signed at the same time. That way you don't have a delay with waiting for the contract to be signed and waiting for the payment request voucher to be signed, and then you're waiting for the money, and that makes for really unhappy artists and presenters. If your group has any questions about when they can spend their money, how, where, who takes care of that information, the first person they should call is the treasurer or the financial secretary for the Student Government Association. Again, their email address is widenersga, all one word, at mail.widener.edu. Or you can call the Office of Student Life and we'd be happy to support you. Our extension is 4411, or you can email us at studentlife, all one word, at mail.widener.edu. We tend to do a student organization's leadership training every fall, and during that training, treasurers have their own specific track. So we teach them how to do payment request vouchers, how often to hand them in, and also any other ways that they would need to spend their money or they need information from us, we teach them how to get that. So the first point of contact is always to talk to your student group and make sure they have all the information they need to share with you before you give us a call, because sometimes they have more information than they share with us. Active student organizations are those that register with the Office of Student Life, and so let me give you a little bit of information about that. Every semester, the Office of Student Life requests that all undergraduate day student organizations register their information with the office via an online campus cruiser survey or from another group. And so the information we request is just updates about who the current advisor is, their contact information, and all the members of the leadership team. So that includes the president, vice president, treasurer. Some groups have a vice president of administration and other positions. We need all of their information. We also need a current list of undergraduate day members. And that information really helps us maintain statistics on how often students are actually involved with student groups. It also helps us get connected if we have a new student, for example, at orientation, who's really interested in, let's say, English club, but we don't know who the president is. We can't really connect them to your group. So that information that you provide us every semester helps us keep you connected and also send you more information about things that are going on in the university community, abroad, and also with potential or prospective students. That information, the recognition period, is requested by Student Life the first 3 weeks of the semester and the last 3 weeks of the semester. So, for example, for the spring, it would be the last 3 weeks of the semester. All summer, the survey is open, and then the first 3 weeks of the fall semester, it's also open. So that means that you have time to participate in the involvement fair at the beginning of each semester, even if you haven't finished getting your new member list. As long as you've completed the recognition survey, for example, you can still request a table for the involvement fair. Information about recognition is always posted on Campus Cruiser via announcements, and we also have a number of committees specifically for members of student groups and advisors where you can maintain the information or update it or reference it all year. So if you go on Campus Cruiser and you look at your list of committees, you should be in a committee that says Student Organization Advisors. In that committee, we'll post announcements for you, letting you know about updated information that's coming out. So for example, at the end of the semester, you'll see a notice that tells you how long the recognition program is, registration, and then also where the link is so that your students can update their information with Student Life. We also have information about any kind of meetings for advisors, any kind of perks we're offering advisors. We like to do that often. And anything else that you might need to help you be more effective with your undergraduate student group. For student leaders, we have a committee in Campus Cruiser called Undergraduate Student Organization Leaders. And in that committee is a list of all the members of the leadership teams of all the recognized undergraduate student groups. So currently, we have a list of 83 different undergraduate recognized student groups, which means there are lots of students in that committee. This is a really great opportunity for your students to network with each other, find opportunities to collaborate on programs, but also there's really no excuse for them not to know that there are other people doing programs on campus because they have a really great opportunity to work with each other. We also have a calendar in both committees, so if there are deadlines coming up, we'll post those on the calendar. You can print that out for your resources if you like. You can also RSS feed the calendars from both committees to your own personal computer or to your cell phone if you're able. Most of the information we post on there is time sensitive, so if you're not sure where to look for what's coming up next, always check your Campus Cruiser calendar or the information on your committee for the latest updates. You can also call the Office of Student Life for more information. Requirements for undergraduate student organizations to stay active or recognized include 3 programs per academic semester. So a program is not sitting at a dining hall table and saying, hey, buy this so we can go on a trip or doing fundraising. A program is some kind of interactive activity or event where you're hosting other members of the campus community. We prefer not just the members of your group, where you're giving them some information or entertaining them or just having an opportunity to spend time together. That's what we define as a program. We also require 10 hours of community service per student group, and any kind of questions you have about service requirements, you can contact Student Life and speak to the Director of Volunteer Services for more information. We also require undergraduate student groups to send representatives to the annual Fall Student Organization Leaders Training. During that program, you'll learn more information about how to do budget requests, manage your money, plan events, and also other policies or procedures that may have changed from the year before to make sure that everyone is updated on current policies. If your student group is an honors organization and tends not to do a lot of programming for the campus community, but more specifically for your particular student group, we have some specific requirements for honors groups in tiers. So we have a minimal requirement list, and then we have an optimal requirement list. So the minimal requirement list would be that your undergraduate student group updates its information with Student Life every semester, so the fall semester and the spring semester, with their updated member list as well as the advisor. And so we know that different groups do elections and appointments at different times during the year. So we just would prefer if you could give us the most information you can. It doesn't have to be, definite leadership team roles, but at least your membership list, so that way we have it for our statistics. The other requirement is that you do exactly what you're doing, which is watch the advisor training DVD, and that information compiled together, so your recognition survey in the fall, your recognition survey in the spring, and having watched the advisor training will make your undergraduate honor society eligible for up to $250 from SGA. If you'd like to do the optimal standards, which are the same as all the other undergraduate student organizations, you'll be eligible for more money. So what that means is you would you'd watch the advisor DVD, you would update your information for the fall and the spring recognition survey. Your students would attend the student organization leaders training, and you would also do 3 programs per semester and the 10 hours of service each semester. And so that will make you eligible for additional funds. The reason we do that is because honors groups tend to have a different purpose than our general undergraduate student groups. And so it's not really fair to make them do the same amount of work if they're doing less programming for the wider campus community. But by all means, if you would like to put yourself out there and take the opportunity to engage more members of the campus community, we will definitely reward you with additional funding.